Happy 250th anniversary. I'm so excited to be alive during this time, to be here with you to celebrate it and to discuss it. Now, generally speaking, I do, camp crafting stuff, right? I've always been of the opinion that our heritage and everything has led up to the point that we are today. Henry Ford, Edison, Kephart, Dan Beard, all those guys of the early 20th century, they really wouldn't have been able to do all of this stuff, right, to impact us in very real ways if it wasn't for people who started this country, right? There's people who came before us that has set the stage for us to be able to do what we do. So to that end, that's why I'm here talking to you about my grandfather's kit up, because he was a member of the Dover Light Infantry, what we could suspect or guess, conjecture what they used, how they wore it, and why it was important, to their day-to-day. So my grandfather, Edward Dyer, served in the Dover Light Infantry. And we don't know a whole lot about a lot of 18th century material culture. It's just wasn't kept. It wasn't written about. We don't have museums dedicated to it. We don't have time capsules where people are looking in their attics and they're finding chests of their grandfather's World War II uniforms and all the pictures, or even Civil War. We don't have that. It blows my mind, but there's just not a lot of it out there. So if you're talking to someone who's representing Revolutionary War soldier, most cases, it's going to be best guess. It's going to be conjecture, because there's not a lot of documented, for sure, evidence of what they have. Now, the American Revolution Museum, which I've had the pleasure of going to a couple times, they have a couple examples of fighting knives, right? And we do know that the knives at the time, the scalping knives, if you will, were mainly kitchen knives or whatever they could get their hands on. Right? Now, several weeks ago, I found this knife at an antique store, bought it for $5. Asked you guys what I should do with it. Majority of you said, go ahead, just leave it as is. So that's what I did. Okay, it needed a sheath. So this video is mostly talking about the sheath, my mistakes of making the sheath, and how I'm going to alter the sheath. But I didn't have time to alter this for the 4th of July. Now this sheath is designed in a way to be used with a belt, but not in the traditional sense, which is pretty unique to 18th century style. And upon learning about it, it honestly makes a lot of sense for our average outdoor person. This is something that maybe we should bring back specifically for outdoor recreation. So my grandfather, he was a member of the Light Infantry. He used a belly box instead of a cross box. He carried less ammunition than what a line soldier would carry. So if we open this up, in case you've never seen a belly box, it's kind of cool by itself. You can see it's just a wooden block with drilled holes. Now the rifle, musket, I keep saying rifle. The musket I carry is a Shortland pattern Brown Bess, which is like pretty new and pretty nice for a Continental soldier to have. We do know that Delaware soldiers were outfitted pretty well compared to other colonies. I don't know if that's what my grandfather carried. There is no record of what they carried. France hadn't entered the war yet, so their chance of getting a Charleville musket, probably unlikely. They more likely either carried Brown Besses that they captured, or from the storehouses, from the armories or whatever, or they used their own Fowlers and their own rifles. Now, the nice thing about a musket versus a rifle or Fowler is it's not as hard to load it. When you got a rifle, it takes a little bit longer. And especially if it gets fouled up with black powder, it can be very difficult to ram a round down the barrel to fire. Let's go back to the knife. Okay, we're getting a little off task. So this is a center seam knife. I opted for this one because the center seam knife was probably the most common. Now the nice thing about center seams is you don't need a welt. If you use any other type of knife that's got the seam on the side here, it needs to have a welt so the blade doesn't cut through the threads. Now, making this wasn't terribly hard. It's a very long blade, so it took a little while. But the problem that I ran into that I didn't think about, I didn't consider when I drew my pattern, is this part right here. And granted, it has a little bit of a curve, but that's really not as big of a problem as this part. As I pull the knife out of the sheath, this creates a problem. It's constantly wanting to cut into the leather. So eventually, you can even kind of see the crease here. Like you can see where, well, maybe not so much on the camera, but that is going to eventually cut, you can see right there, cut into that leather. So I need to make the sheath just a little bit wider and it should be okay. I could also grind this down and make it rounder. It won't be as impactful to the sheath in this case, but I think I'm going to go ahead and, since you guys told me to keep it as is, just make the sheath a little bit wider. But the design of the sheath is actually pretty nice when you think about the way people dressed and wore their clothes. Having a belt to hold up your pants, that didn't exist in the 18th century. So oftentimes you would have a sash that you basically just tuck things into, or in my case, since I do have a belt for my military purpose, this little tab, which you can see is just folded over. Okay, that little tab basically acts as the point to hold it on your belt. Now, I could leave it like that, and chances are that probably would have been pretty safe, especially if I put the blade closer to my body, okay, instead of away. So if I wore my belt and I had this on the outside, now it's going to be more of a risk of falling out. If I did this on the inside, it's not going to be as big of a risk because this is going to be against my body, and this is probably going to lock it up. Comfort-wise, I like to have it on the outside. Now I've got a couple holes here that I punctured, and I took a leather thong, not that kind of thong, get your mind out of the gutter. Took a leather thong so I could tie it around the knife and secure it. Like so, right? And it's good to go. Now, I think possibly for outdoor recreation, this thought right here is something that we should actually possibly bring back. Because there's a number of times where I'm outdoors and I want to take off my knife, but then I have to take off my whole belt. Granted, I use my belt to hold up my pants, right? So then I got to undo all that. Instead, I could just untie the thong, take out the sheath, put it on my cot, put it in my pack, somewhere else, and I'm moving on with my life. This actually makes a lot of sense for outdoor recreation. So there we go. That is the side seam sheath, back seam sheath, yes. So that's the back seam, center seam sheath for my fighting knife. That's a pretty gnarly fighting knife, but it's just cool. $5, couldn't lose. If you like this video, found it useful, especially, you know, ideas, because we can learn from our past. If you like this idea, let me know in the comments box below. Tell me what your thoughts are on these type of sheaths, the Puko, the Norwegian, or whatever. People call these sheaths from various different names, but anyhow, it is a center seam sheath. Let me know. I'd appreciate it. Wouldn't be doing justice if I didn't tell you about the Press and Mess Kit. You can secure yours for $200. I know it sounds like a lot, but the mess kits themselves are really rare if you try to find your own original. They were made out of aluminum. Ours is made out of 316L stainless steel, which is a premium stainless steel specifically for surgical, right? High heat. So unlike those Walmart mess kits where you're warping and things like that, these are going to be more tolerant of high heat for your campfire, on your camp stove, or whatever, right? It comes with a canteen, which is 54 ounces, nice size, with a screw top. It comes with a skillet and a pan and a cup. Now the cool thing about the skillet and the pan, they come together, they lock together, and now you got yourself a container, which I like to use for breads and my meat ration or something like that. Or you could use it as a baker. You can make biscuits, you can make cookies, you can make cobblers or pies or whatever your heart desires, especially cobbler. I love myself a good camp cobbler. So let me know what you think about that. Okay, again, you can secure yours for $200 in the description box below. There's a link it there, and get yours today. Also, we're creating a museum. which is cool. You know, wouldn't be talking about my grandfather unless he did something really cool. So if you want to be possibly remembered, if you want to be part of something really big, something really great that you can say, my name was attached to that, then help us start this museum. It is going to be the Smithsonian of outdoor recreation, and we need all the help we can get, whether it be financial contributions, spread of mouth. If you have professional experience or you know someone with professional experience, you can help us out. You know, there's so many ways. You can check it out at www.honorableoutfitters.com. It's going to cover history from before colonization with the Native Americans to modern times. It's going to be all encompassing for future generations. And you could be a part of it. Making history, recognizing and honoring history. That's pretty cool, okay? Now, if you like this video, again, please click like. If you want to see more about the Press and Mess Kit, check it out here. If you'd like to see videos about the camp crafting stuff, then check it out here. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Give a kiss to your loved ones, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Happy 250th.